Hello, today's lesson is about representing fractions as division, and you've actually had experience with this in Simple Solutions lessons before. What do you already know about division? Here's an example of a division problem. 8 cheese pizzas were shared equally among 4 tables. How many pizzas were there on each table? Pause to make a drawing and write an equation to solve this problem. Then restart your video when you are done. Does your answer look like this? You have 8 pizzas divided between 4 tables. 8 divided by 4 would be 2 pizzas per table. Now let's use some more interesting numbers. The next day, there were 8 cheese pizzas shared equally among 5 tables. How many pizzas were there on each table? Make a drawing and write an equation to solve the problem. Remember to pause and then restart the video. Does your answer look like this? 8 pizzas divided between 5 tables would be the same as 8/5, which is equal to 1 3/5 pizzas per table. Now let's look at a more interesting situation. The third day, there were 8 different kinds of pizzas shared equally among 5 tables. Each table should have the same amount of each type of pizza. Now, first you're going to have to think of 8 different pizza types and then come up with an abbreviation for each type so you can label the slices in your picture. Make a drawing to represent this. Can we still use the same equation as we did before? Pause and draw your picture. Does your answer look something like this? Notice we can use the same equation. We still have 8 of something divided between 5 tables, which is 8/5. But now we see that the fifths, those 8 different slices at each table, are all from different kinds of pizza. The drawing looks different, but the equation is the same. Solve this problem by drawing a picture and writing an equation. At the party, 4 pan pizzas were shared equally among 3 tables. How much pizza was put on each table? Pause and draw your picture. Then solve. There are 2 approaches to correctly solving this problem. Compare your solution to these. Does it look like one of these versions? Here's version 1. Here are our 4 pizzas. We have 4 pizzas divided by 3 tables, so each table is getting 4/3 of a pizza, or 1 1/3 pizzas. Here's version 2. We're still starting with 4 pizzas. Notice each pizza is a different type. We have 4 pizzas divided between 3 tables. That is the fraction 4/3. Each table still is getting 4/3. Notice each of these thirds is a different type of pizza. Can you think of when you might want to use version 2 instead of version 1? That's right. You would want to use version 2 when you have different kinds of things that you're dividing up and you want each table to get a share from each kind of pizza. How does the division problem done vertically match what we have done so far? That's right, we had 4 pizzas divided between 3 tables. Each table would get 1 1/3 pizza. The division problem finds the amount of pizza each table would get. How can you check your work when you're dividing? Well, we know we can check our work when we're dividing by using multiplication. The same is true here. Here is the division problem we just did. Here's our multiplication check. I'm going to take my quotient and multiply it by my divisor. So 3 times 1 1/3. Now I'm going to use that skill that we did earlier this week where we're multiplying a whole number and a mixed number. This would be equal to 3 times 1 plus 3 times 1/3. That would be equal to 3 plus 3/3, which is 4. That checks out. There's our original dividend. Let's try some problems together. Here is an example from our table. Notice the table has several different columns, and you're going to fill in each of those columns. They really are all just a different way of saying the same thing. The first column is for the division expression, so 7 divided by 5. The second column is for a fraction. We know 7 divided by 5 is 7/5. I actually like to do the third and the fourth column after I've done the division. So I'm coming over here and I'm going to divide 7 by 5, and I'll find I get the mixed number 1 and 2/5. Here's my mixed number 1 and 2/5, and that is between the whole numbers 1 and 2. I know I can check my quotient here by multiplying it by the divisor. 5 times 1 and 2/5 would equal 5 times 1 plus 5 times 2/5. Here's what that would look like. And notice that my answer is 7. That matches my original dividend. This checks out. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and fill in the columns, and then come back and check your answer. Look at your answer and see if it is the same as what I had. 5 divided by 3 is the fraction 5/3. That is between the whole numbers 1 and 2, because the mixed number that is equivalent is 1 and 2/3. Here's how I found that mixed number. 5 divided by 3 would be 1 and 2/3. Here's my multiplication check. I'm doing the divisor 3 times the quotient 1 and 2/3. And notice down here I get 5. That was my original dividend. So this checks out. Your turn. Now fill in these columns on the table. Compare your answers to my answers. 8 divided by 3 is equal to 8/3. That is between the whole numbers 2 and 3. That's because the mixed number that is equivalent is 2 and 2/3. Here's how I found the mixed number. 8 divided by 3 is 2 and 2/3. And notice when I do the check, multiply my divisor and my quotient, 3 times 2 and 2/3 ends up being 8, which was my original dividend. So this checks out. Try one more. Remember to pause the video and then fill in the columns.